Hi, my name is Edward Nicholas Wong. People normally call me Ed. My socials is Shot by Ed. I'm a event photographer in Kansas City, but I'm available to be booked anywhere. I used to do this back on Guam, and yeah, I guess I never stopped from 2019 to now.
Perfect. So, are you like originally from Guam?
Yeah,
Yeah.
born and
Um,
raised.
and then like, what got you started out there with like photography and the event space in general?
Well, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and break it down to all the levels possible. Photography, well, I've always been cool with like taking cool photos. Like I've liked that stuff. I've always wanted that on my feed. No better way to present yourself than being creative and artistic in any way possible. So I guess that's what kind of got me into it. With being an event photographer, it started with my love of music. So once I turned of age to like go party, I started going out to like local bars and local nightclubs. Started to attend local shows. It was first with like the rock scene. So a lot of the rock bands locally, I would go to every show, like a house party or something small at a bar, and just be a fan, get drunk, rage. And then after I tampered with psychedelics after my shroom trip, I had like this light bulb moment, and I was like, I love going to these things, and I love taking photos, and I love the fact that I have friends that do that. Why not start a business? So the next few days, I started practicing with the camera. People started lending me their gear. Never really got to know one camera. I knew a bunch of stuff. I started with like a Sony, and then I started with a Canon. I shot my first show. It was called Set the Statement. It was a breakdancing show, and that was really challenging because considering the gear that I had, I was running with the Rebel T6, so it was
Yeah, I
like
feel like
trash.
high ISO and then having to use high shutter speed for a dancing, like that would be so difficult.
Yeah,
I can't
it
even imagine.
it was a I don't know why I made that my first show. It was a hard learning experience.
You gotta get in somewhere.
Yeah, but yeah, I ended up getting some lucky pictures that looked really well. I mean, I didn't know how to edit. I edited all like on my phone. But that was my first show. And then I hit up a friend from the gym. He's a professional photographer, does weddings solo, does portraits, grad photos, and he has a great following already. People know him as a photographer. We started a collective called Onyx Media Collective. We hit our first show together. It was a charity event at one of the biggest nightclubs on Guam. It was called Silent Night. And Silent is the DJ on Guam. He was the headliner. And it was a absolute rager. It was like sold out. It was so much fun. The venue was crazy to work with, and we had literally no rules. We had
Yeah.
all access. We could do whatever the fuck we want. We were even in the audio tech booth, which is like this big.
Yeah. Usually a place you're never allowed to go during that
Yeah.
time.
So it was cool. But then like after that, we started just like hitting up every show, every local stuff like that we can get our hands on. And then randomly one night I was at a cafe with a business partner. We were going over documents that I needed for my business, like NDAs, anti-defamation forms, employment contracts, and invoices. He brought along his friend, super talented guy. I saw him edit a YouTube video in like 15 minutes, like completely edit. And I asked him like, if I were to give you clips, could you cook me up a video with like a soundtrack and everything? And he's like, yeah. In 30 minutes, he made me a full-fledged video, and it matched the drops of the music, the beats, and everything. I tossed him a few bucks there, and I asked him to come along. And since then, we've been like hitting every show. And our biggest show was called G Life. It was like February. It was at the same venue that I had my big show, my first big show. We sold that out completely, and we had DJs from Japan come over, and that was probably like where we started to like get our name out. And then COVID came, and then I moved out here, lived here for like a year, and then randomly in July, I think it was July 17th, was my first show here. And then 6 months later, I'm here where I'm at right now.
Seems like you've had a pretty long journey. and you pretty much utilized everything you learned on Guam and started running with it in KC, and then kind of really incorporated more of your own personality into what you do. So I mean, it was pretty impressive to see because you and I met back in, I think it was February of last year, that one time at the wedding office when we both started working there.
Yeah.
And then I don't think we linked up again until back in this past November. And I watched your growth the entire time, and so like it was really impressive to watch you like go out, shoot one show. I remember you posting photos of Boots and Cats on Alex, and just like, and it just went from there. And it was super dope to see. So like, why are you so passionate about what you do? Like, what is it that you enjoy the most about it? What do you love the most about it?
I guess what I love the most about it is two things: being able to provide something tangible to people that have a hard time remembering the night. Like I want them to be able to look at these photos like, oh, I remember how happy I was. Like, oh, that the music that was being played, the lasers, the people there. Like I like to provide that for people because me having like shit memory,
Right.
yeah, I need a photo or video to look back.
The occasional. Did that even happen? Like,
Yeah.
did it actually happened? I can't even remember. Yeah, yeah, for sure. I can get that feeling. I understand that feeling completely. So like, what are some things you aren't the fondest of in the industry? Especially in the like more specifically, like we can break it down so it's not so broad. Like in the EDM and like show photography industry more than anything.
Before I answer that, I'm gonna say one more thing that I really like about it. Um, Also, just when I get to like the place of power where I'm able to like sort of influence the shots, not so much call the shots because that's never my job, but I can go ahead and influence like who can be the next ones to come up. I like that because I like to guide people because doing it without a guide, I know what that is. It's such a shitty experience. So like to be able to take people under my wing and give them things to help develop and hone their own skills. That's what I really like about it too. Like that's the same thing I did on Guam. So doing it out here, being able to do it and just like thinking about it, it's like the end goal for me.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you can say I want to start my own business again and start my own team
Right.
to kind of like run the shit on in the US because
For sure.
like unlike the island, you only have the island to play with. Out here, you could literally being
Go
based in KC, you can get booked in Cali or booked in like Philly.
Yeah. Go
So-
on tour with artists. Yeah, 100%.
I want to be able to like do that for people. So that's like one of the things I enjoy, which is I guess I enjoy the thought and the goal that I have because it's pretty cool. But the things that I don't enjoy about this, I guess like sifting through 4,000 photos, like that's like the
Yeah.
biggest thing that I
That's
don't
always
like.
tough, Yeah.
And then on top of that, like you always meet like out of every 10 people, there's like maybe one or two that are just like hard to deal with that I really don't like. I mean, I guess I can't like choose who I work with because they're just gonna be there. They're gonna be on a lineup somehow, and they're gonna be there at the club, and I'm just gonna have to deal with it. But yeah, those are like the two things that I don't really like enjoy.
Yeah, it's just one of those things too with like people like that. You just kind of have to let it be, and just keep to yourself and do your thing. Because at the end of the day, like you're there for the experience, not that person.
Yeah.
Because if you don't want to work with them individually, you don't really have to. That's the best part about it is you get to choose. I think that's like one of my favorite things about like the photography industry in general is like you get to choose like who you get to work with, and you have the option to completely do it exactly how you want, especially in today's market and day and age because of the internet. Like we're fully capable of doing how we want it and when we want it and who we want to do it with and then go from there.
Yeah.
So what are, well, I guess you kind of talked about it a little, you kind of just said it a little bit, but like what are your goals like locally, especially in the Kansas City scene that you want to like really kind of bring up for yourself and even for others around you based off of what you just said?
For myself, I want all of it. Like, I want to be the guy that could walk in and take photos. I want to be the guy that is booked. I want to be the guy where my name, when it gets passed around, people know. So I want people to do my marketing for me. Like, that's where I want to be at the end. I want to be the go-to. But for others, I want to be able to bring people up with me, like give them a, I guess like a boosted opportunity to get where I'm at instead of like trying to figure it out on your own. Like you have me to open the doors for you to like kind of like show you where to go. And I guess giving people a chance to come up because people don't know this, but the industry is so competitive. It's super cutthroat too. Everyone's competing against each other, and that kind of stuff like kind of pisses me off because like when people actually need help, they don't want to see you get better, so they're not gonna like toss you a bone. So I want to get there myself and then be able to bring up people with me.
I can definitely agree with that point a lot. Like you notice it a lot in a lot of the photography industries around, especially in the bigger cities. Like in the show industry, I noticed right away there is a lot of like unhealthy competition. Like I love healthy competition because like whenever you and I shoot together, like I want to be like a goal in my head is like I want to get a shot that looks super fire and is like on par with Ed's or better than Ed's. But I don't care when you shoot 4 to 200 other photos that are better than a single one that I got because it's not really like relevant. You know what I mean? The
Hmm.
problem is everyone lets their own insecurities bleed into jealousy and they turn it into this like unhealthy competition that like you have to be the like better than that person. Like if
Yeah.
you want to be the best, just be the best in your own way and be the best who you can be constantly. So and like that's one thing I've noticed about you is you've really learned to curate who you are as a person. And like we talked about off cam, like you're egotistical, but it's purely comedy the whole time. Like if anyone reads what you put on fake Facebook and Instagram, they're like, "Oh, this guy has such a big ego," and then they hear you say it in person, you're like, "This guy is the biggest joke ever." Like I can't
Yeah,
believe you
like
just said that.
it's funny because I like to do that because I guess playing the villain is too easy and it does me so good.
And that's the thing too is like it's like one post will be this big ego show, and then the next post will be like nothing but like love and passion towards other people, towards the industry, towards everything. But no one, those people that are trying to compete, those people that look for jealousy, they only want to read those egotistical posts that everyone posts because it's just like it's just what they look for. It's they want something to feed that, and so looking for other people like myself that want to kind of change the game and really like let everyone hone their own skills because like if there's one thing that I love about it is like we all have something to offer from like to one another. We're not going to be the best at everything, and so understanding that is like the best and biggest part of like being an artist in general.
Yeah, like
Um,
it's just good to have more people doing it, and that's why I want to have like a team because we get to offer our own unique style.
right. What are some steps you want to take to like achieve those goals?
There's some things I can't say.
Say what you can.
Uh, I want to work with the people that put on shows, and then kind of like set up a very professional meeting, and then let them know my outline, show them my resume, and then let them know my ideas. And then my goal is for that to be taken seriously, and then collab with me to then make that come true. Again, like back to building a team, I want that to happen.
Mm,
I want my team to be the media outlet to be booked for any big show.
for
Like
sure.
I want it to be a regular thing when we're at the Midland, Uptown Theater, Cable Dahmer Arena,
For sure.
shit, even Sprint Center. Like I want that to happen. And right now I'm like still on stage, what, point 0.5, not even one yet for that. So it's gonna happen. It's gonna take time, like maybe another a year or two for it to actually start, for a team to be formed and then to start getting
For sure.
gigs.
Yeah. Biggest thing with that is taking every action you can take in every moment, and then just being as patient as possible for the results. Because if you expect results right away, it's never going to happen. It's just going to kind of bring you down. But I mean, that's a beautiful plan, especially in the EDM scene. It'll work out well. And then like I think wanting to get those bigger artists, shoot at those bigger venues. It's even kind of getting into the other scenes as well, and just moving around, doing things like that. So I definitely like believe in that passion a lot. You know, one of my end goals is to have some sort of business that allows other photographers to build themselves up and create themselves in the freelance space, so then they can eventually go on and do their own thing and have the growth already there for them
Yeah.
and a good following there for them. Um, so, what is one of your favorite things about the local EDM photography and like just scene in general?
Um, Being able to immortalize moments for myself. I'm gonna go ahead and reference a very special show. It's the San Holo one. So San Holo's music, I've been a fan of it for like years, maybe since even before I did photography. Really, his music saved my life. It helped bring me out of a dark place, and it also helped me to just be a happier person. And then when I got into this stuff, and when I came out here, I was like, okay, I need to go ahead and see him live. Me and Zen went to go see different artists at North Coast Fest, and I think it was like the day before we hopped on a train, we looked at the headline and we saw San Holo's name, and I was tripping out. I was fucking fangirling. I was just like super hyped. And then came day one. We were at the rails and we were waiting for him. No restroom breaks, no none of that. We were there. And when he came on stage, and he was just like, I think he was drunk. And he was just like drunk and like performing, playing his guitar and like interacting with the crowd. That shit was like probably the most vibrant moment of my life. And being able to see him live was just a dream come true. But then towards the tail end of his set, I blurted out loud saying, I need to shoot for him. So like came time for his show, I saw the promos go out for it, and I was like, okay, I need to hop on this. Contacted everyone I knew just to see if I can get a lead to email the right person. I did, and I got approved like months later. Like literally the day before the show, I got the email for approval, which is very common in this industry to get last minute stuff like that. But I got to shoot for his show, and being able to be 5 feet and just like in between like my favorite artist was just so surreal. And then being able to take photos that look really good for myself and for people to see as well was just like a dream come true. And then after that, I didn't know the full like extent of it, but Zen was in contact with him for like days. We were able to meet him. We chopped it up for like maybe an hour and a half outside the Midland, and we were like talking. I was sharing my story. I told him all like these very heartfelt things, like how his music like has saved me, and it was just super cool to see him be a human, like a person that's not celebrity, no BS. Like he was just being himself.
Yeah, I think a lot of people really forget just because they make amazing music, they sell out massive venues like that all around the country. Like that, those people are just literally like just humans. And like I think that's one of my favorite things about the Song Holo show in general. Was, like you could tell just how human he was even on stage. Just his presence in general was probably one of the most like real, like raw, like intimate, like things about like in the EDM scene. So I agree, and definitely from someone who's like watched your progress over the last like half year to over like half year plus now. I'd say your Song Holo show was like the pop off. Like was where you really I like like you were shooting a lot of shows, but whenever your like work like really went like to like wow like this is good as fuck was the Song Holo show for sure. So you could tell that like your passion for Song Holo, for wanting to shoot that show and then getting to shoot it, like really showed in the work. So
Yeah,
it
and
was
that
really impressive to see.
that brings me to say like if I don't enjoy the music being played, I don't know, like my shots don't come out well. Like I've noticed that throughout like the time, like the past 6 months that I've been shooting, is if I'm not having a good time, my shots are not gonna fucking be good. And I've been trying to break that habit and make sure all my shots hit, regardless of how I feel. But yeah, I've noticed that. I noticed my work started to like look better or like really good when San Holo happened, because that honestly surprised me. Like I made that shot. Like I didn't think I can do that.
Well, it was definitely impressive to see, and like it really, It really was game changing, and you know, you could tell. I mean, you could tell like within like the ball started rolling really hard after that too, which was really dope to see from even from an outside perspective. Before we had even linked up, like I watched the growth. Like I told you the first time we linked up back in November, like I
Yeah.
watched the growth, and so I guess that would lead me into my next question, which would be like, what is your or like what are some other ways like you want to like branch out in your craft, like as not maybe not necessarily like chase career wise, but to bring in more like of an artistic appeal to give you like extra for your work.
I do want to dabble in video. Like the thing is, I understand when everyone has the same 24 hours in a day, but when I start to list off all the things that I have going on and the things that I have to do when I'm outside of my day job, I just don't have enough time to properly dedicate to actually learning videography. Like I want to be my own one man army. I want to be able to do everything just in case like people get sick or if my dream never comes true of having
Yeah,
a
for
team.
sure. I definitely understand that. I mean, it's definitely an important tool to have some sort of video knowledge. You know, so that's something that I could definitely see why that would be really beneficial for you to like take up and grow and use. Like, what are like maybe what are some steps you like have already thought about or want to take like to kind of get to that point?
I mean, I know how to like film, so I've done it,
Mm-hmm.
but me being the OCD person I am and very critical on myself creatively,
Mm-hmm.
I don't put any of it out. In fact, I throw them away after watching it. Like I've done video for YDG, I've done video for my homie Kraken, and I've also done shit for this one show in Wichita for Tribal Roots. I've done video there
Oh,
and
okay.
I didn't like any of it. I mean, people would say it looks really good, but I
It's
don't,
not how you want it.
yeah, if I'm not happy with it, I don't want it to represent me at all.
Sounds like you need to sit down, watch some Premiere Pro tutorials, and just you know maybe go out and just film, like just film, like you know it's just like with everything with photography, with like dealing with cameras, like you just have to go out and just do it and just beat it down consistently. Like I don't know, maybe like you get off work one day, you take your camera with you to work, and as soon as you get off work, just go film in the city and just go film something, anything. It doesn't have to be shows, like just learning the tips and tricks for your like how you want to film things, and then start blending it into what you already know for getting good shots with your photography, because it's a very similar basis when it comes to like you're shooting shows, like what I guess what shots to get. It's just how you want to film it to make it look like aesthetically pleasing, and then the editing part is the most difficult part of all.
Yeah.
You know, editing and photography is hard, but like when like people don't even go right, sometimes it's hard to even grasp like the depth of editing video, and so like there's a lot to do with that. So I think that's a good goal to have for sure. And you know, there's you know a lot of people. You know, we got Luke back here who can definitely give you a hand with a lot of that stuff. So I
Yeah.
definitely think that it's something to go for sure.
And back to editing, like I've just recently picked up new skills on like editing photo. So if I'm just like learning new things still, that's obviously me not mastering my craft. So I don't think it's smart for me to pick up something new and then totally like lose sight of what I should finish mastering and then start putting in all my time into something that's like fresh, you know what I mean?
So I semi disagree with you there, because the thing is there's no such thing as like being done yet. You can always improve, and one thing that I've learned from dabbling in a little bit of everything is the things that you learn from each individual thing will always go back to the core aspect of what you're doing. So like if there's certain things that you learn from video and then you really like, you can implement it into your photo game, and it will really change the aspect. Like because when you switch it up and having like a different outlet from what you always do constantly, it will allow you to look at things from a completely different perspective, which is just something to think about, because you never realize how much growth you can get from trying something else until you do it, honestly.
Yeah, I guess it's just me trying to I just need to jump into
Just
it
have to do
really.
it. Like, and that's the thing is, I do it all the time too. It's like it's like, well, I really should be focused on this. Like, I really should be focused on that. Like, I really, but like, if I give it the time and I'm patient with myself and I'm doing like I'm doing something else,
Yeah.
like I'll hatch an idea for the photo or like for the content for the business and the brand, like something will pop up. I was writing out a contract yesterday and I had a really good idea for a video series to do in the coming months whenever I get back on the YouTube grind. And so like, which will be by the time that this is released, but I was just writing out a contract because I was really starting to get really heavy into like I'm getting really heavy into like the business aspect, and so like that was just it's just one of those things of like you have to just take the time and give it to yourself because it's good to give ourselves breaks too away from what we do consistently because you'd be surprised how much growth you get just by taking like a minor step away for just a moment because right now we're all of us in this room are hitting heavy daily on everything that we want to do and so if you take a second to just stop and do something else, even a little bit, it keeps you fueled. It burns. It makes that passion just burn more and more and more.
Yeah.
And it's just like an aspect that I think a lot of people fail to look at when you're on that grind. Because like I feel you. I want to be the best too. I won't stop. I won't stop. But you can't be the best if you don't do everything you can to be the best.
Yeah.
Because it's like one of those things where it's like you can do it and do it and do it and do it. But what are you gonna do when you hit a wall?
Yeah, I've definitely experienced the wall. It's
Sure,
like
y'all have, yeah.
early on actually into like my journey of events. I experienced it multiple times when I was doing portraits. I was working for this fashion company and modeling agency. Never doing that again because just always biting me in the ass. But
Those kinds of yeah, you working for an agency and a company. If you don't have a very specific set of honed in skills, it's very hard to do, especially if you didn't go to school for it and things like that. It's just it's a very weird industry, but there's a lot of people that do it and they do it well. There's a lot of people around here that kill it with studio work,
yeah,
portrait work, and that's great. Like I love meeting the people around here that kill it in that. And that's another thing. Like you can learn from those things. It's just, but the way that they do it is they do it on most of the people around here do it on a way more freelance scale than like a management company scale, and that's why
I think that's where I messed up.
yeah, the management companies are a little bit more difficult. You find some good ones. I know a couple good ones around here, but more often than not, it's just a weird thing. There's those. It's a business. It's a business. It's not necessarily an artist's like hub. It's a business. Letting it be a little bit of both is what we do, but there's a difference. So, what's your biggest goal for this year then? 2022. We're filming this on the 5th of January. So, what's your biggest goal for this year?
It's to shoot a festival. Last year I didn't get approved for a dance fest. I have my own thoughts on that, but
right, yeah.
Yeah.
We've talked about that off camera for sure. I definitely feel you and understand that. But yeah.
I want to shoot a festival, and then also there's venues that I've never got to shoot at. So like Cable Dahmer being one,
I'd love to shoot there too, for sure.
and then Sprint Center being one too.
100%.
Like the weekend was supposed to be there in February,
Mm-hmm.
and I was super hyped because like that's when things started to take off for me when I found out about that. But then he postponed his show, so when that pops off again, and if he's still destined to be at Sprint Center, I'm gonna be probably one of the first to apply for it. I don't know who throws the shows there. Maybe AEG does it because AEG like is just the person in the U.S. that has the most money. But if that's the case, then I'm probably gonna be one of the first ones to apply. I want to shoot for venues I've never shot at before, and I want to shoot a festival.
For sure. Those are all really good goals. Similar alignments for mine. I think that's something to really look forward to and be really passionate about, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I did somewhat get approved for a festival coming up, but a lot of it is lying in my hands, like what I can do to make that possible.
Yeah.
Just like finding out how I'm gonna pay for a ticket, and then pay for an Airbnb, and then getting around, making sure I have a game plan. The guy said, if you can be out here, I'll give you a pass.
Well, yeah, and that's the best part is like you also get to enjoy a festival too.
Yeah.
And you'll literally only pay for half of what you normally have to pay for to go to a festival, which will be dope, and that'll be a good experience, and it'll be a major learning experience for you before you jump into like a full blown festival that you're there to shoot for.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be dope.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I hope everything works out as planned. Because right now I'm in like the final stages of wrapping up my itinerary and my plan. It's just me checking out, really.
All about the baby steps. Every single detail is important.
Yep.
Well, are you gonna let anything slow you down?
I won't let anything slow me down, but I guess like the only thing that could possibly take away my attention would be school, because like
But it's important.
yeah,
But I've seen you balance all of it pretty well before, so I don't think you're gonna let anything slow you down.
yeah, I think I'll be okay. I need to take over 2022 really. I want to be, like I said, my end goal for me personally just to be the best. I mean,
Yeah.
same for you, same for Luke.
I told you. It's like what I DM'd you, like when we talked about it, like before the year even started, like we're gonna burn it to the ground. So I think we'll just leave off on that and let's get the year started.
Fuck yeah.